Good morning, dear learners. Good morning, dear Form 1 students. Today, we are going to continue from where we ended in our last class. And the lesson of today is entitled Causes of Degradation of Bioclimatic Zones. Our plan of presentation goes as follows. We have the introduction. We have the review of bioclimatic zones in Cameroon. That's what we saw in our last class. We are going to talk about the definition of bioclimatic zones or environmental degradation. We are going to talk about the causes and effects of the degradation of bioclimatic zones in Cameroon. And in our conclusion, there's an activity for you to do. So feel free our presentation. When you look around the natural environment, you see that the environment is being destroyed. It is possible to see a water course that is completely empty or that is completely dry. It's possible to see an area that was occupied by forest that is completely empty. It means that something must have taken place. That is why we are bringing to you this lesson on degradation of bioclimatic zones. So I expect that by the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify some of the negative practices that contribute to the degradation of our environment and probably develop positive attitudes that will help in managing our environment or in making it attractive for human habitation. Let us continue. In our last class, we talked about bioclimatic zones. And we said a bioclimatic zone is a large area of land. It's a large area of land which has the same climate, the same vegetation, the same soil, the same animal type, and at times with similar human activities or characteristics. Everything is just the same. And in Cameroon, we identified three major bioclimatic zones. We identified the equatorial bioclimatic zone, which is found in the southern part of the country. We identified the tropical bioclimatic zone, and finally the mountainous bioclimatic zones. These are the bioclimatic zones that we have in Cameroon. Let's now talk about the bioclimatic zones in Cameroon. This is the first bioclimatic zone that we identified. That is the equatorial bioclimatic zone, which is in the southern part of Cameroon. Followed by the tropical bioclimatic zone, which is found in the north of the country, that is from Adamawa going right to the far north region of Cameroon. And as you can see from the map, this area is the equatorial bioclimatic zone, and this northern part is the tropical bioclimatic zone, making it possible for us to identify three of them. The mountainous bioclimatic zone is actually found. There's Mount Cameroon here, which is found there. There is the Mount Bambutos in the western part of Cameroon, and there's also the Mandara Mountain. That's where we have a mountainous bioclimatic zone. Talking about the definition of environmental degradation, just as the name implies, it is any change or disturbance in the environment that is harmful or undesirable. So if there is any change in an environment which is undesirable, which is considered a disturbance, we consider that as environmental degradation. And this is because it depletes the resources such as air quality, such as water quality, such as the quality of soil. It destroys the ecosystems and even including the extinction of species That means some species disappear and we are likely never going to see them again. Let's proceed with the causes of this degradation. What are the causes and the effects of the degradation of bioclimatic zones in Cameroon? For the causes, we can distinguish them into two types. We have the natural causes and we have the human causes, or what we call the man-made causes. So we have the natural causes and the man-made causes. Talking about the natural causes, we can identify volcanic eruptions, we can identify landslides, we can identify floods, we can identify erosion. And for the human causes, we can identify the pollution, or that's open dumps or illegal dumps. We can identify deforestation, and we can also identify overgrazing. These are the key ones. So by the end of this lesson, our focus is going to be with the natural causes of degradation. Probably in our next class, we are going to continue with the human causes. Let's now start with the first factor, volcanic eruption. You must have heard that volcanic eruptions occur in different parts, and even in Cameroon. Mount Cameroon do erupt. I think the last time that Mount Cameroon erupted was in the year 2000. So we are going to see the image, we are going to describe it, and we shall have their effects. Let's start with the image of volcanic eruption. You must have seen this. That is hot magma coming out from a mountain. And if we can say this is the sudden occurrence of a violent discharge of steam and material such as gas and ash, which are violently ejected to the height of several miles. For example, Mount Fako. So Mount Cameroon is one of these mountains that do erupt. And when this happens, we have hot flowing magma or hot flowing lava that destroys houses, roads, farmlands, and natural vegetation. We also have toxic gases which are released to the atmosphere, thereby causing pollution. So one of the main cause of degradation is volcanic eruption. As you can see from this diagram, when this hot lava comes out, when this hot magma, because when it's still in the interior it's called magma, but when it comes out and solidifies, it is called lava. So when it comes out, it is capable of destroying houses, destroying even the landscape, thereby leading to environmental degradation. The second cause of environmental degradation is landslides. So talking about landslides, we can say that landslides, we shall see the image of a landslide, we shall see its description, and we shall see the effect. Talking about the image of a landslide, you must have probably seen this. You see a sudden displacement of the part of the soil from a higher level to a downer part. So we have the description of a landslide, which is described as the rapid downward movement of a mass of rock or soil on hills or steep slopes after heavy rains. And as for effects, and in Cameroon we had a landslide in Limbe that was in the year 2018, and we can talk about the effects of this, which is the fact that it injures and kills many people. We can say that it destroys property and buildings and roads. We can say that it destroys biodiversity, that's the number of species of plants and animals, and it destroys landscape as well as natural environment. So let's talk about the third cause of environmental degradation. So we can see floods. Look at this image here. You can see these are cars being trapped in water. And so we can say floods is a situation where water occupies an area which is normally dry. And you can see it's an overflow of a large amount of water beyond its normal limit, especially over what is normally dry, considered a dry land. And in Cameroon, we have floods in the northern part, in the center part, in the littoral, and on many parts of Cameroon. Talking about the effects of floods or how it destroys ecosystems or environment. It leads to loss of human life and animals and animal life as well, because there is destruction of property, there is destruction of houses, bridges, which are being submerged in water. We can say that it leads to the contamination of drinking water bodies or water sources. That's where people get their water to drink, leading to diseases. Diseases such as typhoid, like cholera, like dysentery, amongst others. And in 2010, there was an outbreak of cholera in the northern part of Cameroon due to floods. We also have the fact that flooding creates standing water, thereby creating a breeding ground for mosquitoes. We continue. It reduces agricultural land as well, because when water occupies a larger area, it reduces the agricultural land. It also reduces the soil fertility, and all these contribute in the degradation of our environment. Let's examine the last factor, which is soil erosion. And we can see this is an image of soil erosion which has been totally destroyed. It has been totally destroyed, making it difficult for agriculture to take place. So we therefore say that soil erosion refers to the removal or displacement of the top soil agent, such as water, such as wind and ice, aggravated by human activity. So when the topsoil is carried away by water, it results in environmental degradation. And we have soil erosion almost everywhere in Cameroon. And human activities that lead to soil erosion, we have deforestation, we have poor farming practices, we have soil erosion, and we have and that soil erosion is common everywhere in Cameroon. Talking about the effects, we can say it leads to degradation of the landscape. The landscape is destroyed. It leads to loss of soil fertility, and it deposits silt in water, making navigation to be difficult. So, these are the causes of environmental degradation. We are talking about the natural causes. And for the human causes, we are going to treat them in our next class. But for me to be certain, for me to be assured that you have understood, this lesson, I want you to answer the following questions. I want you to state the natural causes of degradation of the natural regions in Cameroon. I also want you to state any two effects of the following. That's the effects of volcanic eruptions, effects of landslides, effects of floods, and effects of soil erosion.